everyone. My name is Mighty Space Fruit and or Biscuits, depending on the flavor of the month. And I'm here with a cast of Draft Showdown. I believe this might be even the very first set that has been played in the tournament between Billboy, Baggypants. I'll probably just refer to as Baggy. And I'm not going to even try to pronounce this, but this is Tyranno on in the blue here. So, a few interesting quirks about this particular tournament. First thing first is you do your Civ draft before anything else. Typically, you would draft maps first because, well, that just makes sense. If you draft the maps, then you can draft certain Civs based on that. So in this case, you don't know exactly what kind of map you're going to get. So you probably just pick what you think are generally good civs or civs that you enjoy, or you might want to ban civs that you think are just strong in general, or you think that your opponent is good with, etc. And I'll just go ahead and show real quick here, right? So when we start off, we have normal ban, like each player bans like normal, and then we have these here admin picks. So for a best of 3, we have 3. I think best of 5, it's 5. I think it just scales up like that. I have to double check. But either way, the interesting thing about this here admin pick set is that in a best of 3, you have to pick one of these. So, for example, we could have, say, in game 1, Baggy decides to pick the Persians. That means in game 2 or 3, they couldn't pick Huns or Mayans or Persians again, for example. But their opponent could pick Persians. So basically, you have to use one of these admin picks, but you only get to pick one. And it's not mutually exclusive, so your opponent can pick it again. So they could play Persians, you could play Persians. It could be on the same game or it could not. Now, this is a best of 3, so in theory, you're not going to always play the third game, but I will reiterate this because I think it might be useful to know. Superhero has confirmed if, say, you lose the first 2 games and you don't go to game 3 and you didn't use an admin pick, it is okay. You're not going to get punished for that. I think he said he might be a little stricter in the knockouts, but at least for the group games, that is not going to be an issue. You can save your admin pick to the last game, whether or not it's actually played, so that's okay. So this is kind of an interesting extra element where, you look at, of course, these are your civs that you might be expecting from your opponent, but they could also pick one of these 3. But you also have an option to pick one of these 3 yourself. So a little more civs than just what you chose for yourself. We see here Tyranno has picked Tatars, Georgians, and Gujaras. Baggy picking Portuguese, Britain, Spanish. All very good civs, and I would say, especially open for the most part. Britain's a little better on closed in general because they are so good with archer ranges. It makes them a little predictable. I think that if they're not able to boom up, they kind of lose out. And Huns, Persians, and Mayans being the admin picks here. Pretty good general selection. Taking a look at the maps. So the maps, and I'll just show it here. We have normal bans, so you do get to ban yourself. Tyranno banning out Zawal, Baggy banning Bedouins. And then these picks in question are random for the home maps. And then, of course, that's also random. So a lot of unpredictability, shall we say. One thing to note is that in your next group game set, you won't be able to ban the same map that you banned in the first game. So Tyranno couldn't ban Zawal, Baggy couldn't ban Bedouins, and so something to keep in mind. So you won't be able to dodge a single map repeatedly, unless your opponent bans it, I guess. But for the first game here, the admin pick, we have Golden Stream, and we have Tyranno having Volcanic Swamp, Baggy having Sandbank. These are some peculiar maps. Golden Stream's a little more normal, though. I would say it's, we saw it in Red Bull Woololol, for example. It is it is a Golden Stream. There is a strip of river that sort of spans the entire map, the middle of it, and it has a pit of gold in the center. It's actually not really great for fishing ships, though, because there's shorefish, but there's not any deep fish, which fishing ships gather quite slowly. But it is an important element, the center of the map, to play for. And Volcanic Swamp is a big, pretty open map. Has 3 boars start. Sandbank, a little weirder. I haven't really seen it much, so we'll get into that when we get into it. But looking at the picks, Persians would be a great pick, of course, for Golden Stream. You could, Portuguese could be good. Spanish could be good. Georgians could be good as well. Tatars maybe. Britons I probably wouldn't pick on the first game. Mayans maybe not as well. But let's go ahead and get into the cast here. Hello everyone, we're into game number 1 of this Bracket G group match between Tyranno here in the orange with the Tatars. And we have in the purple, we have Baggy with the Britons. And we're on Golden Streams as our first map. Now, I said I wouldn't necessarily predict Britons. Now, it is a very nice map to wall in. You can see there's a lot of space to wall between the wood lines. And it's not that crazy to just wall up beforehand and then deal with this center later. But the only reason I wouldn't... Well, for me personally, I guess I wouldn't pick Britons because it is perfectly fine to boom up. Have a little more closed mindset and, deal with the center later. But usually I find it can be a little risky to give up the center if your opponent is more aggressive. Bagging asking if the berries are fake. Orange saying no. Fruit instead, which I don't know what, instead of what. Maybe it's the fact that these look a little different than they do on other maps. Oh, I can select them IDK. Well, I don't know what Baggy's thinking. Maybe I'll ask at some other point. Now, both of these players I am somewhat familiar with, I would say. Mainly from the Low Elo Legion Discord server, which is, I guess, it is what it sounds like. I've only really joined in it recently, playing in the Sacred Potato Tournament, which is a 10-time sudden death setting. Pretty fun, interesting map, or tournament setting, I should say. The stand-alone ones. Oh, he's talking about these. Yeah, these are just normal berries. Let's see. I think they hold... Yeah, they do house the same amount of berries as anything else. But they're not a great option. Foraging is a pretty slow collection source. And it's not that valuable to make a mill just for these. But, well, they are there, I guess. I think it's at least some compensation if, like, you were building a dock or something. Then, your bills have something else to work on. But yeah, these players I'm somewhat familiar with. I don't know much about their playstyle, but I've seen them around, I guess is what I would say. I don't know their elos. I don't think they're both sort of dedicated ranked ladder play. Oh, both Baggy being quite a little ambitious, luring in both rhinos or elephants at the same time, but not losing a Vil, which I think is probably the most important thing. You're going to lose some to decay, but luckily it's Hunt, so it will collect decently fast. Tyranno building some houses. I don't think Tyranno is a beginner. Like, I don't think she's new to the game as far as I know, but I think is more of a campaign single-player player, or at least is not super into very, playing a lot of super competitive ranked plays as far as I know. But I don't want to put words in her mouth. Of course, I don't know. Baggy, I don't actually know if he's super new to the game either himself, or he's just new to this kind of ranked, sort of competitive multiplayer scene. But either way, they are here in the Bracket G, which is the lowest division of the Draft Showdown. I think this is also Baggy's first tournament. I don't know about Tyranno, but I'm pretty sure this is Baggy's first tournament as far as I'm aware. So, big ups to him. I know it can be quite intimidating, especially with a setting like this, which is a little weird. But at least for game 1, we have something a little more usual. You're on Golden Stream, Britons and Tatars. Generally, I would probably prefer Tatars. It's a pretty good setting for cavalry archers. I realize I have to say cavalry quite a lot, and I struggle with saying the noise. Oh, we did lose a Vil there. Oh, we lost 2 Vils. Uh-oh. No loom. Those Vils die very quickly. I think, maybe these Vils just didn't like these two, because they were just collecting that goat and weren't even really contributing much to that hunt there. But in any case, purple is not struggling in that case, but instead struggling with idle TC time, and doesn't have the same issue. I mean, Tyranno lost 2 Vils, which is not great, but at least their TC has been producing more. I'm not sure where that exactly comes down to. Maybe Baggy just needs to shift queue a bunch of Vils at once, so don't have to worry about it. The hunt is finished, now we're moving on to our goats. Nice little house wall here. I would probably build it. I would probably recommend you can just build it here because you're kind of gonna eat into some farming space later in the future, but it's not that bad actually. We have some bills on wood. Bills on wood, bills on here. Yep. So I don't know what the game plan is here. I assume Baggy will be interested in playing a little more defensive and, you know, dealing with this maybe later. As I said, I haven't seen him play too much, but I think usually people who are beginners, either in the literal sense or, you know, beginners in the competitive scene, tend to play a little more defensive, which is not unreasonable. For example, like one of the typical builds you can sort of hit the enemy the fastest is, you know, man-at-arms or militia. And that requires actually quite a bit of micro, I would say, because it's very easy to lose your units under the TC or just, you know, lose them to some vills, etc. So you have to be pretty active with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Baggy's interested in just kind of simplifying his game plan and trying to keep everything safe at home and then thinking about a push later in the future. So Purple's going to be up to feudal by about a minute, but okay, it does have a barracks out. Interesting. Probably thinking about archers, of course, as you are typically encouraged to do as the Britons. Your archer ranges produce faster, and, well, I believe the term really is they work faster, which does include technologies, but in the feudal age, that's really just units. But, of course, whenever you go against the Britons, you can think about just opening with your own range and building yourself your own skirms. We've got a second lumber camp here, which is nice. It's a little far away for the vills to walk. It would maybe be better to go here or here, but it should be pretty safe here. I mean, because again, this map, you can wall here around. Not that bad of a deal. We have double bid axe coming in for Baggy. Bears coming in for Orange. At 2 minutes of idle time for Purple, which is unfortunate because you could be up 2 vills because Tyranno lost 2 to the elephants. Bunch of stragglers might see another lumber camp soon. We're floating a lot of wood, in fact. No one on gold though, so we can't go up to Castle Age unless we sell some stuff. Some farms coming out. It's nice. You could, I mean, you can get horse collar if you're not going to be super aggressive, but I don't mind, to be honest, just dropping the farms and not dealing with that because it's a little greedy and it might be easier just to get your farms out first. So Purple right now is kind of doing a better job of spending res, but I wonder if Tatar player is thinking about, okay, we're thinking about scouts, a lot of scouts. And we do have a barracks and we have some spears, so we should probably take these spears and place them near our wood lines. Okay, yeah, wall coming up. You could probably just wall in front of the stone just to keep it safe, but that's also fine. I also do recommend just using palisade walls for mountain, like any elevation, because it can be really awkward to place housing or buildings. You can always wall behind with a house, of course. We have the, I think this is just the starting scout. Gets a hit off. Now these spears are going to be good against the scouts, of course. Not against the lion, though. But we ideally have them placed over with our exposed vills. We could also wall around as well. But really, I'd like to see the spears go ahead and defend these wood lines because they are exposed. This one is fairly safe, but is also exposed. Has also a hill, but there's a nice spear here. You have a few more spears. Okay, they're just sitting around, so hopefully we'll send them over at some point. Farming up. I know I don't mind around the mill at all, because you can save the straggler trees. It's a little safer around the TC, but you can just wall up on this map, so that should be fine. Over in Orange's base, we have 2 stables now. We have up to 5 scouts, it seems. There's a 6th one roaming around, but 5 over here. Pretty nice and compact, not fully walled just yet, but will be walled pretty soon. And also, you know, we saw our opponent didn't go for a scout anyway, so it doesn't look like they're going to be super aggressive. And if we come in with archers, that might be an issue for, like, say, a woodline like this. They could sit in this pocket, or over here, or over here. But for now, you know, it looks pretty nice and compact. Baggy's kind of spreading himself out a little more, which I don't mind necessarily, but I'm just a little worried about these. Well, especially this bill here. he is a bit of a loner, and he could be caught by a bunch of scouts. Could be trouble. We're even getting foraging for our scouts as well. And they are moving forward, so we have 4 spears out. Okay, the walls are coming up, but it's going to be a little late. Now, this is another problem. When you want to wall this far forward, it's going to take you quite some time, right, to get a Vil out, spend all this res. And you can see how Orange's units are already in, and they might be here to cause some trouble. Presumably they are not friendly. They don't bring tidings of peace. But we do have the spears, so you can bring them over. I haven't actually found any damage yet because the Vils are getting pulled away. Good reaction from Baggy. Now the spears are out. Let's see if they can get some hits in. Okay, get some pokes. They drop 1 scout. 3 more still standing. 1 quite low HP. If they find this wood line, that could be quite bad for Baggy. And, okay, yeah, so, ooh. They're, like, just barely away from that wood line. Not quite. You can actually just fight this back with your gold Vils. We might actually, funnily enough, we might end up pushing our enemy towards our other wood lines. Oh. Nice quick walls. Just barely misses that, but, alright. This is going to cause troubles for you later because it's going to make it very cramped for your Vils. Oh, is this a trap? Oh, wow, it's a beautiful trap from Baggy. Clearly smurfing. Unfortunately, we don't actually have any units to kill these, and we're just going to use the Vils, so I'm not sure if that's 100% worth it. That being said, it will prevent our scouts from doing more damage. They will die to this spear. You should just fight this back with your Vils, though. But it does die. Unfortunately, I think this single scout did a lot of damage because we didn't fight back with our Vils. Yeah, you see he has 4 kills on it. I'm actually going to rewind. So let's see. So it does. So you can fight back with it. It's a single Vil, or sorry, single scout. Of course, you're going to lose this. But I think what was happening is Baggy was looking over here. It takes a lot of APM and focus to quick wall. So yeah, you can see here. Yeah, unfortunately that scout went uncontested. And did lose quite a lot to that one scout because we didn't fight back. Now, I could say, hey, you should just fight back with your Vils. But of course there's only so much focus you have. So really what I would probably point to is probably a better idea is either you need to have a spear out and wall this earlier. You can see now this Vil's exposed. You need a spear to defend it. Could also fight back, to be honest, at this point. But, well, not anymore. This is with forging. So actually, it's pretty nasty. You either need to wall this sooner or make some closer walls because those are going to be easier to get to. And also, you need to spread out your spears, I would say, because they're kind of all 4. They're pretty slow. Obviously, when they engage your opponents, engage your scouts, they will kill them pretty quickly, but they can get kited around. We now have a very large housing, very large community back here, but no one really lives here, just for the lumberjacks. But some more people seem to be moving in pretty soon. Okay, so this is fully walled though. So purple is fully walled, I think, unless that is a hole, which I don't know. Orange is going to be up to castle. Now, this tower as well, I think, was a total overkill. But if you're going to build it, you should probably build it here to defend your gold. And I don't think you need this at all. It's also going to be kind of unfortunate because it will delay your TCs in Castle Age. But okay, we're going to stone at least to rectify that. Now, in the meantime, Orange is going to click up to castle first. Oh, actually, not by much though. So, not actually that bad for Baggy. We're going to see the archers now. And I don't know if we're going to see knights or lancers or cav archers. We're building some archers from Orange, getting double bit axe. I can't actually tell. I think that is horse crawler in. It's kind of hard to tell for me with the purple, to be honest with you. Getting the armor, getting fletching, okay. If you're going to cav archers, you should consider researching bloodlines. Oh, perfect. And this isn't like fully walled for Orange, but it's like pretty nice and compact. I think this is fully walled on this side, but it might get overchopped pretty soon, unfortunately. Getting onto gold. Building on the range. Yeah, I think this is, pretty sure this is going to be Cav Archers from Orange, which is to be expected. Building a palisade gate. Okay, I think Baggy wants a little more space here. Producing some archers. Would like to see some more. Now, when it comes to Cav Archers versus archers, it's kind of, it's not unlike spears, where there is a huge mobility in the favor of the Cav Archers, because, well, they are on a horse, which, as we know, run faster than humans do. So they can get kited around, which is it is a pretty big open map. It's pretty good for Cav Archers, I would say, and there is some nice, you know, elevation that the Tatars can take advantage of their extra elevation damage. But you can see how purple's fully walled at this point. These could be a weakness that Tyranno could get into, perhaps. But it kind of depends, right? So the archers are easier to mask. They're cheaper. We will need a few more ranges, though, if we're going to do that as purple. And they also have extra range, which is quite good against someone who's going to move around faster. So I think the Britain archers should do okay versus Cav Archers, is what I would say. I think they would do decently, but it's really about how many we can get out. And we're going into skirms as purple. Now, skirms would be good against Cav Archer, and they still produce faster. So it's not a bad option, I would say. It's not. It's a little more defensive, is what I would call it. Skirms are not good at destroying walls, for example, or killing vills. That's probably the biggest thing. Now, Tyranno's coming in here in a little attack in the back. I think purple has enough to deal with this, although it's only 3 crossbows, so we could just wait till our skirmers are out. Another issue about going into skirms after we already made crossbows is the fact that, well, we need some upgrades for it, right? We don't have elite skirm. We don't have bodkin as well. Yeah, bodkin on these archers or these crossbows, they're gonna do pretty nasty. Take this hill as well, which is pretty bad for Baggy. Probably just need to pull these vills out. I appreciate the effort of the house wall, but I think it's not really worth it. I think it's better just to pull these vills out and not take this fight. I mean, I know it's okay here, but like, and we're gonna clean this up, but it's sort of causing more damage than it has to. Now, Baggy's adding an extra TC, but we're not producing out of this TC, and we're not producing out of this TC. So I would recommend focus on producing out of your TCs first, and if you're producing out of both, then you can consider adding another one. We need to garrison here. I mean, this is kind of a lot going on for Baggy here, which is good for Orange, because back home, we are untouched. We're up to an extra TC. We get the nice bonus from Tatars. We get some extra sheep, which also last longer as the Tatars. Toronto's doing a great job producing vills here. And I think it's also going to be easier with 2 TCs than instead of 3. Now, Baggy has queued up a lot, but you can see we only have 6 on food. Part of that was that our farmers were kicked off their farming land. We have a monk now. Oh, but see, this is going to take way too long to wall this up. You should just wall this back up with a house. You can see some units on this hill as well. It's going to be good defensive. Okay, the Cav Archers are in. I think this is going to spell trouble for Baggy because we don't have any military out. I mean, we have some skirms, but these are feudal skirms. We don't have elite skirm. I think just queued a bunch of skirms out of the range, but we only have 1 range. It does produce faster, but not that much faster. Now this tower is actually nice to garrison the vills, but here's the big problem. We don't have any army for Baggy, and we don't have anything to fight against this, really. Back home for Tyranno, not producing at TCs right now. We have the food for it, but it's not a huge deal. We have a pretty nice eco setup. We'll want to refresh that lumber camp at some point. Step Lynch is also coming up, which is our a good option versus skirms, for example. These Cav Archers are going to come in and cause some more damage. So Baggy needs more ranges. He only has 1. He has the wood, and he's going to lose some more vills. Okay, we're going to drop a castle. So this castle might get denied even. If it's up, it would defend us, but I think... Now, I don't want to speak for Baggy, but I have a feeling he's kind of just panicking under the pressure here. And, yeah, so now he's also, like, spam-clicking to try and get it up. I mean, the thing is, even if he gets it up, you can see how Tyranno has an untouched eco back home. And it's a pretty nice setup. Is housed right now, but maybe wants to try and lose some Cav Archers to make some pop space. We're bringing more vills, which might be able to finish the castle, but they might just die. And we also still can't kill this because we don't have any army. We're gonna lose some more villagers here. And we're floating a lot of wood, so really we need some more ranges. And doubt. Yes. Not too bad. 86% would be worse if it was like 95 or 99. But we didn't have anything to defend our vills, so unfortunately they just got picked up by the cav archers. And now the lancers are in. Even if we had skirms at this point, lancers could kill a lot of stuff. We only have... Oh, we actually have forging already, and we have scale barding. And we're about to get the second attack as well. Bag going for a huge wall here, but unfortunately I don't think it's quite going to be enough. I don't think it's going to come up in time, and palisade walls won't stop Castle Age army anyway. We're saving up some more wood. Maybe we want to build ourselves a new castle out of wood. Fortunately, whatever the, committee that is that oversees castle constructions does not permit wood building, unless you're Slavs, I believe it is. Then they do allow you to substitute some of the stone for wood. Again, the palisades are up now, but you can see these units are going to kill the walls pretty easily, because they are castle age. And it's a nice wall here, but again, the units are just a little too strong to deal with this without any backup. And the thing is, okay, here, the GG is called here. Time to step things up a notch. Wow, very nice pun from Tyranno to close things out. So, yeah, I mean, I would say in general, it kind of looked like Tyranno had maybe a clearer game plan of things and was never really attacked back home, which is probably the thing that made it the easiest for her to play. Also seemed very comfortable, I would say, with cav archers. I think she's a bit of a cav archer enthusiast, which I appreciate. There's a few things that it'll come down to. I hope anything that I said would be quite helpful to Baggy here. But if you ask me, the main thing probably is, let's see, where is it here? The fact that we were thinking about archers, which is a great option for Britons, of course. But we're missing a few things here. We need two, I would say at least 2 ranges, maybe 3, but 2 is fine as long as you're producing out of them. You can see we even just bought some wood for. I don't even know what that purchase of wood was for. Maybe for another TC. I would say adding the 3rd TC is definitely a mistake. Because you can see here, Baggy's not producing out of these TCs. So an extra TC is just, basically 300 res down the drain. We're not even using these. We also don't have the farm to support another one even. I think instead, I think what happened as well is that Baggy faced some pressure here from Tyranno. Nice little sneak for Tyranno to find that back, where you saw, like, nicely walled up front, but here is a weakness. And then Baggy didn't have the army to fend this off. So the thing is, you want to either commit to crossbows or skirms first. They do have pretty similar attacks, of course, but they're not the exact same. If we had, say, another range, or we just made more crossbows, it's awkward with the hill. We probably just want to... I mean, it's a little awkward in general. It's kind of a nice spot for the Tatar player to be in. But either, we want to sit our units sort of on the hill itself, just take some losses. If we had more crossbows, this would be fine. Or if we had skirms that were upgraded to elite skirm, we would be okay. If we had bodkin, we'd be okay. I think Baggy just kind of spread himself a little too thin. I also think that this is a bit of a mistake to wall this far forward, because it just, the thing, I think maybe Baggy was thinking about that like earlier, right? It kind of seemed like he had this nice back corner and was thinking about early on to try and wall this up, which is not a bad idea, I would say, but it kind of took a while. And the scouts came in, so this was completely unprotected. Your life is going to be a lot easier if you try and just make things more compact. Like you see Tyranno here is a pretty nice compact base. It's not fully walled, for example, but it's a lot easier to wall up. So, if some army runs in through here, it's at least not terrible to try and wall this back up. I think there's another issue here where Baggy tried to go far forward and wall this. Should really just try and reinforce this with some houses or something. Or, you know, if you think it's going to be a vulnerability, you can sit some units on the hill, and that'll be nicely done. But yeah, that's about it. Let's go ahead and head into game number 2 here. Hello everyone, and we are into game number 2. We have in the orange, the victor of game number 1, Tyranno with the Persians. In the purple, we have Baggy with the Portuguese. And we're playing on Sandbank. Now, this is a map I've seen before in my life. I couldn't tell you where that was. I couldn't really tell you much about what happened with it. But it looks like we have what is presumably the sandbank in question, maybe, here in the center. Dividing both of the... They're not exactly island. I guess they are kind of islands, basically. But one way or another, we have a pretty water-focused map, I would say. There's a good amount of fish out here in the water. And this sort of prevents us from getting over to the other side. So, if we want to place any sort of aggression on our opponent, we will have to contest this area. Now, this area you can build on. I think this area you cannot. But this is like a hybrid region with these kind of mangrove trees. So you can come over here, you can build a lumber camp and chop this down. I'm pretty sure this area you cannot build on, but I don't 100% know for sure. So there is some extra resources in the middle, gold, stone, and wood, obviously. Looks like most of the wood, well, maybe not most of the wood, but a good bit of the wood here in the center. So that could be to play for in the long term of things. We still have rhinos and looks like this time water buffalo, which have a little more res than, say, sheep, for example. They have 150 food on them. We have deer, we have rhinos, we have the same setup here, of course. And as a pretty water-focused map, you're going to want to think about water. So, I don't know the exact build, and I'm pretty bad at hybrid and water settings, but in general, the 6 on food is still pretty normal. 6, 7 food, whatever. Usually 6, but I guess 7 is fine too if you're worried about keeping your TC producing. And Baggy is also suffering from that as well here. 1 minute of idle TC time already. You can see he's 9 vills, whereas Tyranno has 12. But in any case, you have about, 6 vills on food, so you can keep your TC producing. And then I think it is about 4 vills, I think, on wood. It is pretty standard. Purple going for a pretty far wood line here, but Rhino's maybe supervising for the moment. Maybe would recommend going over here or here. I guess it doesn't matter as much on a map like this, because it's not like your opponent can come in and attack on land as easily. So it's less important than, say, like on Arabia, where you want to keep your sort of base a little more compact on land, as you want to avoid being raided. That Vill does die, unfortunately. Needed to pull that back in garrison, but I'm sure Baggy's well aware of that. And we do have a dock placed by Orange here. The Persians also start with extra wood and food, 50 of each. So it is a nice setup for them, I would say, for docking. And of course, their docks have double HP and they work faster. So they're a pretty good hybrid civ in general. CC also produces faster as well, which is just sort of a good bonus. Good for your ego to get more vills out sooner. So we're going to see a fishing ship out. Baggy is docking as well. Has some nice fish here. I believe this is a terrain you can pass over with water units. So Baggy isn't locked in here. It's also not safely protected on the edge here. This, however, is land. So fishing ships do not know how to cross this area. At least not with some assistance, like a pulley system or something of the sort. Oh, a nice shorefish here as well. Start fishing from that with the Vill. We don't have a shorefish around the dock here, fortunately for Tyranno. Up to feudal already with the Persians. Not up to feudal yet for purple. You have a few too many on wood to be able to click up to feudal that soon. Or walling up here, which is a little... I appreciate the forethought, but it's a little unnecessary. It doesn't really do much. If it's to prevent landings, I mean, there's still plenty of space for your opponent to land on. And of course, this doesn't stop galleys from shooting your fishing ships down. Or fires for them. For that matter. I think Baggy might be thinking about redocking here, or I'm not sure. Maybe that's a scouting vill. I don't 100% know for sure. Picking up some deer from Tyranno. Second fishing ship is out. We have 2 fishing ships out for orange already. Probably a third coming in pretty soon. Or maybe he's thinking about saving up for feudal. So yeah, when you go up to feudal age on a water map or a hybrid map, and you're going to try and contest the water, you do want to get some gold, because both fires and galleys, of course, both cost gold. Probably need, I don't know the exact number, maybe 2 or 3 on gold, but maybe Tyranno's not thinking about being super aggressive. So Tyranno is up to feudal, Baggy is not. Now this can be a pretty big deal on water settings, because you can't build any military in the Dark Age, on the water that is. All you have is militia, which you can't actually build transport ships in Dark Age, so maybe there is something there, but, well, you know, you have to be quite creative to make that work, I think. But Baggy's still in the Dark Age here, now collecting the second rhino. I think when the food comes in for that, we'll click up. We have a fire coming up for Tyranno. What is, what can they see here? Okay, not really anything just yet, and yeah. So you can't really see much of what's going on. This is definitely a map where if you didn't at least open it in the editor or something beforehand, I think would be quite confusing. I mean, I have looked at this in the skirmish mode before, but still a little strange to me. I'm not much of a water player either. But in any case, we have a fire ship out, which could spell trouble for purple, as we have nothing to defend ourselves with. I believe this mill was mostly placed because we didn't have a mill and we wanted to make some farms. Horse crawler coming in. Ideally would have been placed over here to collect the deer, but not a big deal. On water settings, your fishing ships are going to make up a lot more of your food eco. This fire's coming around scouting things. Purple has more fishing ships. But you can see how eventually this fish will run out, and then the fishing ships will have to go pretty far to actually collect anything. So you will have to redock. This is kind of nice to have this here already. This fire is coming back around. Let's take a look at the vision here. Hasn't actually, just barely avoided that, but I think he's going to see these now, which will be an issue for Baggy. Okay, it's just gonna, just passing moment. This is just a scouting fire ship, you know, or galley. It doesn't want to actually kill anyone just yet. Not until it gets the order. This is an interesting place lumber camp, I would say for Baggy. Maybe don't place it so close to the water line there. We already have 2 lumber camps as well. I think that is plenty. But we do have a fire in our eco. And unfortunately, we also don't have anyone on gold for Baggy. Okay, the fire is also still just passing, still in reconnaissance, still hasn't got the order. You know, it's a long way back from home, so. Ooh, I see a transport ship. Interesting. I wonder if we're going to see a landing from Tyranno. Do you see a blacksmith? Only 4 on food right now. Could consider docking in the back for this fish. Flowing, well, not flowing that much wood, but we will soon with 23 on wood. Dropping some farms. Also dropping some farms for Baggy. And we have a galley. So this could be a good map for galleys. There's a lot of space to work with. But the thing is that you need a pretty good mass to be able to actually contest fires. And it also is pretty micro-intensive. So depending on the setting, but usually it's probably preferable just to open fires. You can go to galleys later if you really want. But a single galley by itself is not going to do enough. And you can see how Baggy isn't on gold either. So it can't produce any more military. Now it does look like Orange is going to go for a sneaky landing here. We got 3 scouts out. We have a transport ship. Interesting. We have a 4th scout coming in. And we have a blacksmith. I wonder if we're going to see forging again like we did see in the previous game. Double Bed X is in for purple. Tyranno already has both of the eco upgrades. Mining camp placed here. Get some gold. This is probably safer, but not a big deal. Unless you have to worry about enemy scouts. And here they are. We're even getting bloodlines too. So this could be pretty nasty for purple. We don't have any, we don't have any water really to contest this. We have 2 guys coming in, but not quite going to be enough to stop this. So very clever from Orange here. Let's see where this lands. We're landing really far. I guess this is to be pretty safe. Or maybe you also want to try and scout, which makes a lot of sense. But these scouts are going to be big trouble for Baggy. We don't have a barracks. Oh, I think the way he's kind of building these walls makes him think that maybe he saw things, but maybe he just wanted to wall things up. Just passing there. Could definitely dive in and just kill things. Oh, we have forging and bloodlines on the scouts. Yeah, we don't have a barracks to make spears. So this is pretty nasty. We're even getting the armor in. Let's see, do we see a barracks from Baggy? We do see a barracks, but it's going to be quite late. Okay, we see a tower. I don't think that's going to get up in time. I also won't stop scouts because they can just sit at the base and attack it. It will propel them away from the lumber camp. Oh no, they come back. So yeah, I think they're going to get a lot of damage in here. And we're going to spam click. And the tower will be up. Now we can garrison them, but again, you see the scouts, they can just attack the tower, to be honest. Tyranno doesn't have to do anything else other than attack the tower. We're trying to wall up on the coastline, but I don't think this is a good game plan. I mean, look how much surface area is on here in this island. So I don't think that's going to work, Baggy. But I guess we'll check in with that bill. Mine some more stone, I think for another tower, I assume. Which will cover this, but really we should finish this barracks and get some spears out. Because this is going to die, the vills pop out, and then the scouts can just switch to this when this tower is dead. So we should really finish that barracks first. I think a Baggy's once again, he's kind of splitting himself, he's spreading himself a little too far out, I think. Get the barracks out, get some spears. We don't have the wood for it, which is unfortunate. We can get this right now. We have safe wood back here. Now, fighting this is not advisable. These are forging scouts with bloodlines and their armor. So they are going to just completely kill everything here. We have 15 kills on the eco for Tyranno. And the scouts are still here. And we're actually making more scouts, the way it looks. The other thing Tyranno could do is land a vill and make production buildings here. Baggy's floating a lot of food right now. If we had a market, we could do something with that. We do not. We don't have the wood anyway. And the scouts are going to finally get cleaned up, but took a lot of damage in the process. We also have spears that are garrisoned in here, which did not get out into the action. In the meantime, once again, Tyranno has had a pretty safe eco and has clicked up to the castle age. Now we do have 3 galleys out for Baggy, but that is all we have. And if it was up against especially a fire age fire ship, they are not going to cut it. Now we're continuing with this wall, but I think if you want to wall up your base on a map like this, you should probably do something a little more concave once again. You cannot cover all the shoreline. The only way to really cover this is with water military. But Tyranno's going to be up to Castle Age. Now I actually do have the res for clicking up for purple. We don't have the buildings. And we need to get, more onto wood to make the buildings. We spent a lot of wood on these houses themselves. Making some ranges now. I wonder if Tyranno's going to think about cav archers once more. I guess it's not a bad idea at all. You do get Parthian tactics as the Persians in the Castle Age, which is nice. Oh, another landing in a different spot now. And these scouts, I mean, we do have spears now for Baggy, so we'll see how he deals with that. But, I mean, I guess one thing you can say is the houses have done a nice job of funneling the scouts this direction. But Tyranno could just as easily land over here, or is here again, and walk over. And also, because there's nothing to defend, they can hit this house down. Now the galleys are going to come over. No fletching on them. Scouts are coming over. Yeah, you can see this is not walled, so they just walk around. Almost a quick wall, but not quite. I think they are going to kill this ville. But this time we do have spears. However, they are garrisoned in the barracks. And we're going to lose some more villes. Bodkin's coming in now for the Persian player. We're flowing a lot of res. So I think we're thinking Cav Archer though, right? With another landing. But yeah, these spears will kick these scouts away at least. They're actually pretty dangerous with their upgrades, but... Some more quick walls. But not quite enough. And the scouts are going to do some more damage. The spears should clean this up. And these vills are idle. This spear is... oh, that scout's dead. Okay, at least they fight back at this one. But you can see how, like... It's pretty dangerous with the upgrades. Even against, like a lone scout. Heavy plow coming in, and indeed we do have the Cav Archers. Now I hope that Tyranno researches, I think, what is it, careening? I believe that's the name of it. It increases your capacity for your transport ships. And also gives you pierce armor on your ships. Now you can see how this is like a pretty exposed lumber camp. That's why I think Baggy should have just stuck to these. But we don't have anything to fight off against the Cav Archers here. And I really hope we see careening. Because it's going to take us many trips. We could also just, again, transfer a Ville. Our fire secured this kind of area. Our opponent doesn't have any water military. So, you know, we're pretty safe to just land a Ville and produce an archer range. Second TC is coming up now. And purple is still not up to castle. I think we're still missing the buildings. We still have the res. We have the wood now. I don't think there's any reason to go for this lumber camp here when we just have this one here under a tower. But these Cav Archers are going to be pretty dangerous. Getting Parthian tactics as well. We have bloodlines. The armor's coming in. We already have Bodkin. Oh, okay. Purple... Baggy's, has something in mind here. I'm not sure what it is. It has two vills in the transport ship. Let's see, where did the Cav Archers go? Okay, they've already landed. It's smart to go up here. There's actually some exposed vills, so... Baggy's plans to expand his infrastructure are coming to bite him because these vills are exposed and they cannot be defended against these Cav Archers. And they are going to all die. Now, it's not a lot of Cav Archers. It's only 6. But we don't have a range. And we're not in Castle Age. We're dropping a stable. We really need to get up to Castle Age as Baggy, though. More important than anything else. I don't know why we're dropping a stable. I would recommend a range if you're going to make some feudal army against this. Skirmish would do okay. Although we are missing upgrades on them. And I don't think we have a blacksmith either. But really, we probably need to drop a market. Probably the most important thing. Now, these vills are going to do something, but I think Baggy has to think about this right now. So, doesn't quite have the attention for this. For both fronts here. Floating, yeah, now 3,000 food. So, at least, you know, Baggy has had these fishing ships working quite nicely, being untouched. Tyranno never came in and attacked them. The fire. We have quite a few galleys now with for Baggy, so I think I'd like to see these this navy come forward and be aggressive. But again, we don't have anything against this Cav Archer. Okay, the market's coming up. Should probably build it with all these vills. This is actually still safe wood though, so we have this. And coverage are out here. They can kill these spears. They also have Parthian tactics, so they're extra good against the spears. Gives them, I believe it gives them extra damage against spears. And extra pierce armor, I believe it is. Now the range is out, but it's a little late. And I mean, so I think again, Baggy's kind of overreacting a little here. See, if we're going to build some army right now in Feudal Age to deal with this, we need skirms. Bloodline scouts are not going to cut it. So we wanted to drop the range first, or even just the market first, then a range. Yeah, and then a blacksmith is good for fletching. It's also good for our galleys. But the thing is, the galleys aren't actually doing anything for us. There's even not that many fish out for orange, but you could at least contest these two. I think there's some moonwalking from the fire there we just caught. And purple also really needs to just sell some food and click up to Castle Age. Now these vills are out. I don't know what the game plan is here. There's actually no army back home. But we can't build, say, you know, a siege workshop. So there's kind of limited what you can do here in Feudal. And you have a lot of idle vills because of all this chaos. We do see careening from orange. So, more transport ship space. But we only have 6 cav archers still. So, Tyranno's kind of keeping their options open. I think she might be thinking about a castle soon. It has quite a bit of stone. So you have a bunch of scouts now, but I mean, well, they're not doing anything for one right now, but also they can't fight against this. We needed skirms, and the skirms are coming in now. But I think Baggy really needs to still click up to Castle Age, because Feudal Age skirms are not going to do very well. It's still like spreading himself too thin. We went into Bloodlines, we went into 6 scouts. We still have more scouts coming in. We don't have fletching. We don't have armor. You really need to just commit to one of these options. And I would recommend not using scouts versus a archers here. Cav archers. We're building 4 stables. Now, I guess we were floating a lot of wood, so I do like Baggy's thought to try and spend that res on something. But you can see here in this engagement, like, the scouts are doing terribly. They are not a good option against these cav archers. I don't think they kill a single one. The skirms, however, have bonus damage. Now, they're not great with no upgrades, but now Baggy has a problem because we have spent so much res into our scouts, and they all just died, and we still have cav archers, and we don't have the res to invest in our skirms, which is what we really want. And now we're losing our fishing ships because these galleys are not protecting them. I mean, I like this sneaky plan here, but I think if you're going to make scouts, you probably just need to do it here. Because they don't fight well against the cav archers. They could maybe find some damage here, but it's also kind of a lot to focus on. Which again is another reason why I think Baggy could have made his game a lot easier by not expanding, not spreading himself out so far. Try and keep everything compact here. I think the range up earlier would be nice. You kind of need fletching though. You need fletching and armor, and ideally you need bodkin, but you're still in Feudal Age. And now we have a castle from Tyranno. It's gonna kill these vills. We have a lot of scouts. I mean, they could do a lot of damage because there's no army back here, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Because even now, Tyranno can take this area. And we have elephants out. Now that's really bad. We're not in Castle Age. We can't make any monks to convert the elephants. And the cav archers are still alive somewhere, right? Yeah, over here. So those are also untouched. Now this is a lot of scouts, but I think, I mean, at this point you can unqueue a bunch, go up to castle, maybe make light cav out of them, or even get heated shot from orange. So it gives our castles extra. I think it might be castles and towers, or maybe it's just towers. Either way, it gives bonus damage to ships. And oh, another forward castle covers the stone and gold here. Of course, purple has plenty of res back home, but it's just kind of another thing to deal with, which is unideal. Okay, the scouts are in. This is a lot of scouts. So let's see how much damage they can get in. Okay, I think you just need to leave them. Town bell is rung. Okay, this is good. Get the kills now. Pull them away from the TC. Imperial Age is also coming in. I might see an Imperial Age opponent against a feudal one. Now, this is some good idle time. We can't dive under this TC. If we find this gold, then we kill all of these vills. Okay, so we're still idle. Now, again, they can't really fight against Caboters, but maybe if there's very few. But I think these are actually going for a landing. And now 10 capacity space in our transport ship. So this is good. Ideally, okay, keep looking. Yeah, find these vills. You can kill all of these miners here. That sounds bad. Kill all of these units. All these villagers which are mining stone, or gold, sorry. Devotion also coming in from orange, so even when her opponent gets up to Castle Age, the elephants will be extra resistant. Now you can see how, like, this is a lot of scouts, but they still do so terribly. It's a Feudal Age unit against the Castle Age one. But this is some good damage. But again, purple is half the eco. Oh yeah, and the elephants are in here. And we have legitimately nothing to fight against these. Even if we had spears out, it still wouldn't do the job. If you had Castle Age pikes and you had enough of them, maybe. But this is the problem. Even if, no matter how much damage you do here... Oh, another pun. It's time to get elephantastic. Thank you, Tyranno. Thank you. Now the skirms are here trying to do some damage, but the war elephants are here to kill everything that purple has. And I do like this play, but you can see now we're losing all these scouts, and that's kind of the last shot that Baggy has here. And you can see these elephants are coming in for the kill. Luckily, it's only... Well, it's not even 45 minutes because this is a little faster than real time. So, you know, don't worry, Baggy. It's not that bad. It's not 2 hours. The GG is called. Oh, alright, look at how many elephants. This is a lot of elephants. The double castle production. And the game is called there. And that is the set in Tyranno's favor. Now, there is a third game that they did play, which is not canon, quote-unquote. But I would cast it, but I don't really have the time, unfortunately. And I would like to get this up so people can take a look at it. Kind of an interesting game here. I did like Baggy's thought here of, okay, well, there's all the army in my face. Things are not going well at home. So, well, what can I do? I can take my units and transport them over here. Or it's just do vills even. Build the production buildings forward. Make a whole bunch of scouts. Get a lot of damage in. That was great. That was a great amount of damage. Let's see if, how many kills? So we had 10. But I think there was probably more than that. I mean, you could see how... Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of kills in. I think we had 9, 12 eco kills. I think all those 14 eco kills, I think that's pretty much all attributed to Purple's scouts there, which is a good idea. But I think the problem is that... I think what I saw in general for Baggy from both of these games... He just kind of spread himself a little too far thin. And I don't blame him, to be clear. I understand when you're getting attacked. You know, you have... we had those scouts first. And then we had the cav archers. It's kind of hard to try and clear things up. I also think it's a bit of a weird map that Baggy's probably not used to playing. On a setting like this, which I could kind of tell, right, Tyranno had a kind of a cleaner build, I would say. I would say that, you know how... You did have the galleys. So... What you could do with those galleys, I mean, in theory, you can protect the coastline, but, I mean, the first transport ship came out a little too soon to do anything with that. You also want to get fletching as well for your galleys, but you can try and be active with them. You could maybe... It'd be a little tricky to kill the transport ships, but if at least you got the galleys over here, they could maybe kill the fishing ships. They could, you know, harass the gold over here. They could... I mean, they could at least do something, like, make something happen over here, right? Because unfortunately, what was happening most of the game is they were just around here not really contributing much. But I really like Tyranno's idea to land. Kind of saw your opponent was late to feudal, saw that they weren't really making any military ships, or they were later at some point, but Baggy was kind of late on it. And I think this wall is is not really, I wouldn't advise it. I think if you want to try and wall up, even on a coastal map like this, keep everything compact here, and you can still wall between the wood lines. And then, really, you want to build a naval military. And at some point, you can outpost the island as well to give yourself some more vision. But I think another sort of good play by Tyranno to have the build of, like, puts pressure on my opponent, stop them from being able to attack me. But I respect this a lot, Baggy. I really like the 4 stables is maybe a little much. I guess you were floating a lot of food. Another thing I would probably say, get your buildings up earlier. If you see you're floating a lot of 1 res, get a market up, get your range up, and then sell, get up to Castle Age. Because if you had Castle Age skirms, they would, they would do a little better against the Cav Archers than your scouts did. And it was kind of an unfortunate, a lot of res lost there. Also, you at least have monks to deal with the elephants. I know we had devotion, but, it's at least an option. And you didn't really have an option, unfortunately, in Feudal Age versus Imperial Age here. But yeah, that's all from me. I hope the players find my commentary useful. I feel like my speech was... I really struggled to say any words this time around, so I don't know. Maybe that's just... I'm just sort of amazed by what everyone's doing here. I don't know. Or maybe it's just... probably the settings, Settings of this tournament are very wacky. But, I think... Again, I don't know these players personally per se, but I do admire if they are not, like, super interested in a lot of competitive ranked play, or at least they're not very familiar. I do respect signing up for a tournament, especially one that's kind of as weird and strange here. But, in any case, GG to both players. Congratulations to Tyranno on winning this group set. And good luck to both of them on their next few matches.